The oldest species in the galaxy met humans and called us family. 1. The Assembly. The Yulari were older than the stars we charted. At least, that was how it felt to the rest of us. They were the first recorded sapient species in the archives of the Galactic Assembly, custodians of knowledge spanning millions of years. Their forms were ethereal, glimmering, translucent beings that floated as if made of light and memory rather than matter. When the humans arrived, the Assembly expected the Yulari to be wary, as they were with every new race. Humans were a deathworld species, after all, muscles dense with survival, minds sharp with invention, emotions volatile and raw. We thought the Yulari would judge them dangerous. Instead, the moment the humans stepped into the Grand Hall, the Yulari shone brighter, like a sunrise piercing through fog. Children, they whispered, voices like chords resonating across dimensions. At last, you've come home. The Assembly froze. Home? Children? What madness was this? 2. First contact. I was there, a Zalari delegate, watching from my station as confusion rippled through the chamber. The human delegation looked equally bewildered. Their leader, Ambassador Kira Holt, cleared her throat. Pardon, honored ones, she said, carefully diplomatic, but we've never met before. How can we be your children? The Yulari turned, their light shimmering with warmth. Because we remember you. Not you, precisely, but your kind. You were with us at the dawn. The chamber erupted in whispers. That was impossible. Humanity's records showed they had only just breached the stars. They were infants compared to the galactic stage. Yet the Yulari insisted. We have waited through epochs for your return. Across extinctions and rebirths, we have seen echoes of your flame. You endure, as you always have. 3. Ancient memories. The Yulari rarely shared their memories. But that day, they opened them. The chamber darkened as their light swelled, projecting visions into the air. I saw worlds burned to ash, seas boiling, skies cracking under meteors. And in each catastrophe, there were figures, fragile, soft-bodied creatures that bore uncanny resemblance to humans. Sometimes they had fur. Sometimes scales. Sometimes feathers. But always the same spark in their eyes, the same stubborn defiance in the face of annihilation. They wore many forms, the Yulari intoned. But their essence was constant. Your essence. The children who would not die. The humans stood silent, caught between awe and disbelief. 4. The trial of fire. The Assembly, of course, demanded proof. Most suspected poetic exaggeration or misinterpretation. And then the Skarn Dominion attacked. It began as a raid on the Assembly's orbital ring pirates emboldened by the presence of so many delegates. But quickly it escalated into a full assault. Fire lit the void, and chaos swept the Grand Hall. Delegates panicked. My own people scattered. The Yulari, shimmering and vast, were powerful in wisdom but not in war. They recoiled from violence, their light dimming under the storm. But the humans reacted differently. Ambassador Holt ripped a plasma rifle from a fallen guard, slammed a power pack into it, and barked, "Marines, on me." Her escort, clad in light armor, surged forward, forming a shield wall of flesh and will. They fought like predators unleashed, shouting to one another over the din. Cover left. Push the breach. Keep them back. I watched one human take a blast to the chest, stumble, and rise again with a snarl, dragging his attacker down in a spray of blood. Another threw herself into the path of a collapsing beam to shield two smaller delegates. They did not fight as though survival was the goal. They fought as though losing was simply not an option. 5. Recognition. When the Skarn were finally driven back, the Grand Hall lay in ruins. Smoke curled through shattered pillars, and blood stained the marble floors. The Yulari hovered over the humans, their light blazing brighter than I had ever seen. "You are the same," they whispered, voices trembling with something like joy. "The flame that refuses to be extinguished. Across ages, across death itself, you endure. You are our kin." The humans, bruised and blooded, exchanged wary glances. Ambassador Holt lowered her rifle, her face hard but her eyes softening. "We don't know what we are to you," she said, "but if you call us family, then we'll stand by that bond." And the Yulari did something unheard of. They bowed. The oldest race in the galaxy bowed to the youngest. 6. The aftermath. The declaration spread like wildfire. Within days, every world in the assembly whispered the same phrase: "The Yulari have chosen." For millennia, no species had ever been claimed as kin by them. The Yulari had watched civilizations rise and fall, always distant, always impartial. Now, suddenly, they had broken their silence over humans. It terrified some. After all, if the most ancient race saw humans as their equals, what did that say about humanity's future? But it comforted others. For the first time, the Yulari revealed they were not just ancient caretakers of knowledge. They were lonely. They had waited all this time for someone who carried the same stubborn fire. 7. My perspective. I confess, I was afraid. Watching the humans in battle, I felt something primal stir in my chest. They did not just fight the scarn, they enjoyed it, in some strange, terrifying way. Their laughter echoed amid explosions. Their defiance bordered on madness. And yet, when one of them saw me trapped beneath rubble, he dropped his weapon to lift me free, despite his bleeding wounds. His eyes met mine, fierce and kind all at once. It was then I understood. Their violence was not born of cruelty. It was born of love for each other, for the fragile life around them, for the simple refusal to let darkness win. Perhaps that is why the Yulari called them family. 8. Epilogue. The Assembly still debates what humanity's rise will mean. Some fear they will shatter the balance of power. Others believe they will lead us into a new age of unity. As for the Yulari, they no longer watch in silence. They walk beside the humans, guiding, teaching, protecting. And the humans? They do what they have always done. They stumble forward, reckless and relentless, laughing into the storm. I think the galaxy is right to fear them. But I also think the Yulari are right to love them. For in the humans, we see something none of us could ever name before, a family we didn't know we had been missing. And when the oldest species in the galaxy calls you family, perhaps it's time the rest of us learn to do the same.